what I consider the greatest gift that a spouse can give his or her spouse, and that is the gift of listening. To really listen, to listen in order to understand. Stephen Covey, in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, one of his principles is to seek first to understand. Seek first to understand. That is a huge gift that we can give each other, and that is the gift of listening in order to understand. It was my privilege to be in a small group, one of your groups last week, and I heard a couple times the wish that my spouse could understand me. I wish that were true. I know that's a wish that I have. I want people to get me. You know, if I'm talking about something, I love it when someone gets me and says, wow, what you're saying is this, and I will go, yeah, yes, exactly, you're right on. That feels great. It feels great because I just got validated. What I was thinking, what I was saying made sense to you, and it was worth me saying. And that's a huge gift that you have to give to me, is your ability to understand and to get me. That's my wish for you tonight, is that you are able to give that gift to each other. When I think of what God did, He gave us that gift in sending His Son. Imagine God of the universe coming down as a man in order to walk in our shoes. He became human in order that He might get it. And that's where one of the verses here on the first page, the author of Hebrews is able to say, "For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who is tempted in every way just as we are, without sin." It's like the God of the universe has walked in our shoes and is able to come alongside of us. And that God encourages us to be able to do that with each other, to come alongside of us with compassion, to come alongside with love, with tenderness. When we hear angry comments, to be able to respond with a soft answer. It's one of the greatest gifts that we have to offer each other in our marriages. But as we talked about last week, we're all broken. We're all broken cups. We're leaky. We are needy people. And so it's really hard to love. Love is about giving. Love is about being there for someone else. I need to put myself on hold in order to do that. And if I'm empty, if I'm broken, if I'm leaky, I don't have much to give. And I'm about what? Protecting myself. I'm about putting on my mask. I'm about taking care of myself. And as a result, I'm not very present. I'm not very able to listen. I'm not very able to understand. Think, for example, what gets in the way of your ability to listen? What gets in the way of your ability to listen? It's a real interesting word, to listen. Anglo-Saxon word that has two parts to it. One is to hear. Okay? One is to hear. That makes sense. Most of us can listen as long as we have hearing. The other part of the word is to wait in anticipation. To wait in anticipation. That's what listening is all about. That's what we need to do. Yet, if I'm tired, I know for me, if I've been working all day and I come home, the last thing I have energy is to wait in anticipation for what my wife has to tell me about her day. I'm usually propped up reading a newspaper, or eating, stuff in my face because I'm hungry. And she has something to say and I'm listening. Oh yeah, I hear you. And, I can repeat back to her what I said. But does she experience me as listening? Not really. Not at all. Because my presence, I'm attending the newspaper rather than her. Because that's in my way. That gets in the way of my ability to listen. If I'm hurt, if I'm angry, if I'm scared, if I'm feeling pain, my desire is to take care of that pain. So as a result, I'm not going to be very present to my wife. Think of those coping mechanisms. What happens when you're in pain? Remember those coping mechanisms from last week? We tend to isolate to take care of ourselves. Or we'll be a people pleaser. We'll try to make light of the situation. Or we'll get antagonistic, we'll get judgmental. We'll challenge, we'll hurt, we'll push. All that gets in the way of our listening. Difficult stuff. The challenge is to be able to respond like Carl Rogers down at the bottom. I think he has a really nice quote, bottom of page 2. The challenge, can I let myself enter fully into the world of his or her feelings? Can you enter fully into the world of your spouse's feelings and personal meanings, see things as he or she sees things? Can I step into his or her private world so completely that I lose all desire to evaluate or judge it? Can I enter into it so sensitively that I can move about in it freely without trampling on meanings which are precious to him or her? Oh, to be understood. Oh, to be understood in that manner. That's a very healing kind of context. To what extent are you able to understand? The second page there gives a little exercise, and the exercise, wanted to encourage you to take a look at this later and to identify to what extent is your spouse able to understand? Do you feel understood by your spouse? And to what extent are you able to understand your spouse? The first one, I want to just go through just a couple of these. He or she understands the way I feel. To the extent that you have trouble dealing in the whole arena of feelings yourself, it's going to be difficult for your spouse to feel understood in the arena of feelings. To the extent, number 3, understands your point of view, to the extent you get overwhelmed with feelings, it's really going to be really hard for you to be able to understand your spouse's particular point of view. Number 6, does your spouse respect you enough to value your differences? Do you need to be right? If you need to be right, it's going to be really difficult to understand and respect and value differences. Number 10, and this is a key one, can your spouse, can you provide a safe place? We talked last time about a house of love. Can you create a house of love? Men, to what extent are you creating a context of love in your marriage where your wife feels free to express how she feels because she can trust that you're going to be alongside of her, seeking to understand, seeking to embrace, to know her better? How about you, wives? Are you doing the same thing, creating a house of love, creating a context so your husband feels free to express his feelings? That's what empathic dialogue is all about. It's about creating that context. And the next page, the purpose of empathic dialogue, there's 4 parts to the purpose there. The first one is to create that safety. If you create a structure, I like to think of it as a container. We're about the task of creating a container, a structure that provides safety. Safety to be able to express, safety to be able to feel, safety to be free from being judged or shamed. Can you create that context? Secondly, it provides a context where you can value each other, where as you feel understood, you feel valued by your spouse. Again, that's a need we all have, to be accepted, to be valued, to be respected, to be loved. Thirdly, as a result of that context, you can join each other. So many times when problems come up, my guess, part of why you're here is because you get divided on issues. You disagree, you polarize. The possibility is to understand each other so that you can join each other in whatever issue it is that you're talking about. And then finally, as you create that context, what you create is an environment for emotional intimacy, emotional closeness, that connectedness that we all long for. That's why we got married. We got married so that we might not be alone, but we might be with someone, that someone might be with us. You married your spouse because you felt better about yourself being with him. You felt better about yourself being with her because you were valued. If you didn't feel better about yourself being with her, you wouldn't have been there. But that's what we're about to continually create that context where we can feel better about ourselves because we get valued in that context. And empathic dialogue creates that context, creates that space for us to be valued. Now, one of the things you got in your packet was a card, and I'd like you to pull that card out. There's two things actually I want you to look at. One is the card, and the other is that circle diagram, which is a few pages away. So if you have kind of both of those handy, what I want to talk about is how to create that context, create that environment. And there's two parts. One is the speaker part, let me back up just a little bit. The challenge is for both of you, if you're with your spouse, to set the table. I like to use that idea of setting the table. When you eat dinner, it's kind of nice to put a placemat down, knife, fork, napkin. You set the table and you sit down and you're ready to eat. Often we don't prepare to dialogue. We just jump right in. And what I want to encourage us to do is set the table. It's like, I have an issue I'd like to talk about. Will you dialogue with me about this issue? And can you be ready? And for me, when I hear my wife say that, it's kind of like, okay, am I ready, or can I do this? And maybe I can't. Maybe I need space. Maybe I am too tired and it's not a good time. But the challenge then for me is, if I get asked that, is for me to get back in touch with her and say, well, this is when I can do it, to create a time and to set a time in order to do that. Then I can put on my listening hat. Okay, it's then I can get myself ready, and it's like, okay, I want to be ready to listen. I want to be ready to get into her shoes and understand. Okay? And then decide who's going to start first. Decide who's going to start. And one of the things I want to encourage you is, to whoever is the speaker, take a pen. A lot of people like using pens, or this card. You can use this card, and whoever has the card has the floor. And you're the speaker. And you're the speaker until you give that card up or exchange the card. And then your spouse becomes the speaker. Okay? Now, those of you who are here by yourselves, you can be listeners. You can be a listener with your spouse. So you have the potential of giving that gift to your spouse. But if you're both here, it's an opportunity for both of you to give each other the gift of listening and understanding. Now, if you're the speaker, the challenge for you is to share your story. And I really like this little wheel, awareness wheel. It's designed by Sherrod Miller, and a book he wrote called Connecting. And kind of gives an idea of what is involved, or what's the content of what's being shared. And I want to encourage you to follow this, because if you start with facts, that's usually the easiest place to start with. But if, for example, identify the issue, I just want to run through a real quick example that I'm in the middle of with my wife these days. And you know I have a son. He's an 18-year-old man-child, and he's going off to college next year, but he thinks he's an adult right now and can do whatever he wants. And we and my wife are just not quite ready to let him go yet. So there's tension in the family. Maybe some of you with teenagers can relate to that kind of tension happening. Well, that's the issue. That's the issue that we identified, and that's what we would dialogue. And it'd take either one of us to decide, could we talk about this? And we said, okay, and so we're off and running talking about this. So my wife started out, and she was talking about how our son hasn't been home very much lately. Okay? Now right away, we can get into trouble right away. Because what if I disagreed with her? What if I said he's been home a lot? Then we disagreeing over facts. Now, you're in trouble if you disagree. I did not say that. You probably said that. I said this, and you go, no, you didn't say that. You're in big trouble, because it's really hard to connect then. But one of the things I want to encourage you, if you're the listener, is think in terms of, okay, maybe I didn't hear those words, and maybe that's what you thought you said, but let me go with that. Let me go with what you said you said. I want to give you the benefit of a doubt. But start with the facts. Typically, the facts are the easiest place to connect, because that's data, and you can look back and remember, yeah, yesterday that did happen, didn't it? Yeah, and okay, we're on the same page. The challenge for the listener is to be able to paraphrase back what I heard. And what I want to encourage you to do is to just start out by it's okay even to repeat back what you heard, the exact message. It's going to be, for example, if I'm telling a story, it's really okay for you to paraphrase me. It's really okay for you to say, did I hear you right? What you said was this, this, and this. And for me to be able to say, yeah, you're on track. It's real important. Again, it's important for me to be heard and understood. So I'm going to be okay if you just quoted me back verbatim what I said. But as you practice, you get to increasingly put it in your own words, and you're getting the gist of what's being said. But feel free to start by just echoing back what you heard. So I'm echoing back, around that Josh isn't spending much time at home, and that my wife's struggling with his and her interaction. It's becoming more conflictual. Okay, that's what's happening. And my job is to listen, to empathize, to see if I got it right, and to ask, is there more that she'd like to say about that? Well, my wife is pretty good with her feelings, so she jumps right into her feelings really quickly. And she starts talking about these feelings. Remember sad? She starts talking about sad. She feels sad because she's losing. She was imagining losing our son next fall when he went off to college. But she's already losing him, so she's feeling some sadness about that. Now, one of the things I'm pretty good at is sadness. So remember last week with those feelings that we're good at, we tend to give others freedom. So I'm pretty good at letting her feel sad. But what happens when she begins to talk about her scare? Remember, I'm not too good with scare, right? Scare, I don't like scare. I never did scare well. And so it's real easy for me to get reactive, okay? I start moving into those coping mechanisms we talked about last time. I start smoothing it over. Guess what's real easy for me to say? Oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it. See? Now, is my wife going to feel understood if I do that route? No. See? The task here is for me to understand, not to try to smooth it over, not to fix. Some of you guys, like to fix, right? Well, that's probably what your wife doesn't need you to do is fix. At least mine doesn't. She wants me to hear, to understand, to listen, okay? That's what this is about. So let me back off on that, okay? Okay, yeah, that's scary. Wow, tell me more about that. How's that scary for you? And try to take care of my tendency to react. Third, what if she starts getting angry? Now I'm in bigger trouble, because what do I think she's saying if she's angry? Mad at me. Yeah, mad at me. And I think it's real. Anger is one of the hardest feelings to really grapple with. And incidentally, next week, Dave Carlson is our guest speaker, and he's going to talk about managing our emotions. Huge to be able to manage my anger. Because if she's angry, I think she's mad at me. Well, then I need to protect myself, right? I need to defend myself, rather than thinking, I wonder what that's about for her that she's so mad at me. If I went that route, I could maybe relax, and I could hang in there and listen. Okay, tell me more about what you're angry about. Well, don't want to go there too much, because if she's angry at me, she has some thoughts about that. Now, this is the tough part, where you have thoughts. We all have our thoughts. We all have our interpretations. We all have our judgments. And one of her thoughts is that she's losing her son, and I can hang in there with that. Yeah, okay, you're losing. Yeah, it makes sense. Another thought she had is that I'm not involved enough. Whoa. I just say that, and I can feel myself getting a little tense inside. Because what she's saying, I'm not there. What issue is she talking about there? Abandonment. Remember abandonment, that bad word that we talked about last week? It's not okay for me to be abandoned, right? I experienced that growing up, and what's the last thing I want to do as a dad, as an adult, is abandon. And here she's saying, I'm abandoning. Whoa, now I need to really protect myself, right? Because no way am I abandoning. Yesterday, remember yesterday? Yesterday I talked to him, remember that? No way am I abandoning. See? Now, see, we pull out those stocks. I remember I talked to my son once in 2 weeks. I'm not abandoning, I'm doing it differently. And we need to protect, so we rise up. Now, is my wife feeling heard and understood? No way. No way. And it's so easy to derail, and it's so easy. Boy, if I start feeling, now here's my coping mechanism. What do? I'll isolate, pull away. Have you ever just walked away and that was the end of the discussion? Forget this, I didn't need this. You know, I was wanting a dialogue and you just blame me and walk out the door. That was end of discussion. One way of coping. Another way is smoothing it over, being the martyr, you know. Woe is me, you know, poor me, wallowing in the mire. Or the best one for me is just attack back, you know, just lash right back. Because I'm not dealing with my own stuff here. I'm feeling insecure, I'm feeling scared. So we react. I need to be able to manage my emotions. Incidentally, this tool, it'll work. I guarantee you it'll work. This dialogue technique will work. It'll draw you as a couple closer together. The problem with it, and why some authors, one of the authors that I bring a lot into this workshop is Gottman, and some of the work he's done, the research he's done, well, he kind of discounts this whole technique. And I think the key is because we don't use it, because we tend to be so reactive. You know, this isn't going to work if I'm critical. This isn't going to work if I'm shaming. This isn't going to work if I withdraw or be defensive, and those are my natural ways of coping. We need to be able to do it differently. Okay, and that's part of the difficulty. It's our stuff gets in the way. She can begin to talk about her needs, though. And if I'm hanging there with her, we can talk about doing things differently. Again, we're joining together. Now, what I want to encourage couples to do is to stop before you get to actions. Problem solving. The challenge, I believe, is problem discussion first, and then problem solving afterwards. And I think probably where so many of us get into trouble is that we don't discuss first. We don't really understand. Guess what? If I listen to my wife and she feels heard, guess what? It's my turn next. My turn next. And she's done. I say, is there any more you want to say about that? She goes, no. She felt heard. She feels understood. Guess what? She feels close. And then I have a chance, and she's going to hang in there with me. And even if we're different, even if we disagree, we're not miles apart. We're close. And there's a good chance for us to be able to bridge that gap and to come up with a creative solution that'll work in whatever our problem is. So that's the challenge that I want to encourage you to really look at tonight, is to, one, of course, practice these skills. But behind the skills is you. Behind the skills is your heart. Behind the skills is your pain, your brokenness. And that's a huge part of this, and that's going to get in the way. And the challenge for you is if you react, you begin to react, you want to ask yourself, what's this about for me? Why am I reacting? And what do I need to do to take care of that so that I can really listen to my wife? Okay? What I'd like to do now is to invite John and Patty Knack up here. They're going to demonstrate for us how to do this.
I know that some of you have heard us before. I hope you've had a chance to try dialoguing. Just yesterday I came back from China. I've got a little bit of jet lag right now, but the tour young woman got engaged 2 weeks ago, and over our Chinese lunch I was explaining to her about dialoguing. If you can imagine, in Beijing, China, and she was listening, anxious to learn. So
I love the reason why she was anxious to learn, because she had just gotten engaged. And what about her fiancé?
She said that he wasn't good at expressing his feelings. So John and I, even though we're oldsters, or at least I am, we've only been married 5 years. And I've been divorced twice. I worked in divorce recovery for about 15 years as a coach. I have a passion for marriages that are in trouble. I even have started, I'm a mediator and about 90% of my work is divorce. And I don't like divorce, but I've always prayed for there to be a better way than the court system.
And I'm a divorce attorney. And there are times when I say to God, why couldn't you find me a better garbage job? Picking up other people's problems sometimes feels hard and dirty. And so I was here at Spiritual Pathways last weekend, and I was praying to God about this subject, and I sat down next to the auditorium thinking that I had a quiet place to reflect. And then boom, bash, the Sunlight Express, all the young people were singing their hearts out, and so it wasn't quiet anymore. And I went in to see the words on the screen that they were singing. Now the music was not music to me. I like soft melodies, and they were singing hard rock. But the words was, and it was almost like a message from God. The opening line was, I get down in the dirt with you.
Yeah.
And it was so powerful. Because divorce is terribly dirty, it's terribly hard, it's terribly painful. And one of the things that God uses me for is to carry people through that pain. And he uses me in ways I never expected him to, and he gets down in the dirt with me.
I think one of the reasons, at least for me, that I'm in this field is for me to be aware of how precarious relationships can be, no matter what. And most times when one of my clients has left, I'll go to John and I'll say, let's be ever
Vigilant.
Thank you, ever vigilant, because that's what it takes. About 52% of first marriages end up in divorce. About 74%, 3 out of 4, second marriages end up in divorce. And about 9 out of 10 third marriages end up in divorce. And this is my third marriage. And you know, I don't want to be divorced again.
Yeah.
I want to have a good marriage. And we're about 3 steps ahead of most of you, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. We keep working on it. So, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. I'm asking John for an appointment. We do this all the time. We learned it before we got married, and we don't do it quite as often as we did that first year. Then it was about 3 times a day, but now it's not quite as often. We become more dialogical in our everyday conversation, and that's the gift. We haven't rehearsed this, by the way. We just picked the subject. I'd like an appointment about the chairs in the garage.
Would you like that appointment?
I'd like it now.
Okay. Are you thinking?
Right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Put me on the spot.
Yeah. I struggle a lot with making faces. It's kind of a dirty way of controlling the dialogue. And so I'm going to try not to do that, but I'm real good at going, you know, that kind of thing. And I do it all the time, so I'm going to try not to do it. Okay, I'm going to start with the facts as I see them. This is my reality. Because of our disagreements over the house, that I needed some space of my own, we decided a while ago that each of us got half of the garage.
Yeah. So what I hear you saying is that we disagreed right from the beginning over the space in the house. Yeah. And you needed space for yourself. Mm-hmm. And that included half of the garage just for you.
Yes.
Did I get it correct?
Yes, we agreed to that.
We agreed to that.
Yeah, both of us.
Yeah. And did I get it correct?
Yes, you did.
I'd like to hear more.
I have found that it's been an effort to guard my space. See, I'm doing a face.
Yes, you have found it to be an effort to guard your space.
Yeah.
Did I get it correct?
Yes.
Want to tell me more?
Yeah. The chairs, which we have discussed in previous times that I didn't like, it's ironic in a way. 2 of them have ended up in my space in the garage.
So yes, yeah, here are chairs you don't even like, and where do they end up? They end up in your space in the garage.
Right.
Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, to get a little serious here, because a lot of times differences are said in humor, but there really is pain inside me. I have a hard time trying to do boundaries. And I've mentioned a number of times, maybe 2 or 3 times at least, that I really wanted the chairs out of there.
Yeah. You do have a hard time setting boundaries, especially with me.
Yeah.
And you mentioned at least twice, maybe 3 times, that you wanted the chairs out of there.
Yeah.
Did I get it right? More?
Yeah. My feelings are that I'm mad.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to say this, but I'm angry. I really am angry.
I hear that you're not just mad, you really are angry over this.
I feel like I have to beg just to be, to me it's about being respected and about being loved. Okay. I don't want to have to come to you and keep saying, I'm important enough for you to honor this.
So what I hear you saying is that sometimes it feels as if you have to beg to get honored and respected. And you don't have to beg just to have a couple of chairs moved. You want me to respect and love you without you having to ask for it.
Yes.
Did I get it right?
Yeah, at least so many times.
At least.
I know I need to say it at least once or twice.
Okay.
I don't expect you to read my mind.
You don't expect me to read your mind,
No.
but you shouldn't have to say it over and over and over again.
Especially when it's hard for me to say it.
Especially when it's hard for you to say it in the first place.
It's like, yeah. It reminds me of when I was little, and I often was ignored in my family. And I feel ignored when you just, I'm nothing.
Right. So
and it's painful.
Yeah. So I'm hearing it's painful for you. And that when you were little, that you were just a kid, and when you wanted something, you just got ignored. Nobody paid any attention to what you wanted.
They didn't listen to me.
They didn't listen
I was not important. I got lost in the shuffle.
So you got lost in the shuffle, and you just weren't important here. I'm not paying attention to you. Here, I'm not treating you as important.
Yes.
Did I get it right?
Yeah. So probably more than mad, I'm feeling sad.
Yeah. You're feeling sad too, even more than mad.
Yeah. So what I want is for you to honor those boundaries.
What you want me to do is honor the boundaries.
And that boundaries aren't bad.
Yeah.
They're important in our relationship.
Yeah. And you want me to show you that you love me, and I love you.
Yes. Yes.
And the boundaries are about showing love.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very true. That's all.
If I were in your situation, Patty, I'd probably feel the same way. I mean, like, those chairs have been there for months and months and months now.
Yeah.
So, well, my facts are very different from yours.
So your facts are different than mine.
Yeah. My facts are that I love creating and designing things. And those chairs were an effort to create and design something. The first time I've ever done a chair. I've done many other things, but never a chair.
So, and I do know this about you, you love to create and design, especially something unique.
Yeah.
That is just yours.
Exactly.
And that's what these chairs mean to you.
Except that they've come to mean a failed project. It's one that didn't work out well.
Oh, okay. So it's come to be a failed project for you. Did I get it?
Yeah. The last time you were here talking about it, you were able to admit to me for the first time that you really don't like these chairs.
Yeah. The last time that we were here, I did express my dislike. I did not like the chairs. Yeah. That's true.
So I felt.
Did I get it?
Yeah, you
Tell
did.
me more.
So I felt discouraged about that.
Yeah. So you felt discouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And then wasn't too long after that the birds came down the chimney
Yeah.
They flew out around the inside of our house and birds all over the chairs.
Holy crap. Need I say more?
Even the birds agree with you.
Yeah. That had to be a difficult time for you. Did I get it?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Tell me more.
So I was pleased I was able to wash the covers
Yeah.
and get
That's true.
all the stuff off of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I was amazed, to be honest. I was amazed at how well the fabric washed. You're right.
Almost, I was thinking you wished that they hadn't washed so
Well, maybe a little.
A little, okay.
Yeah.
But then we were having a party, and you wanted the chairs out of the way because we got new, really nice chairs from the factory, not from me.
Yeah. Yes. So, yes, we were having a party. I wanted the old chairs out of the way, and we had bought new factory chairs, nice ones. And that's what.
Yeah.
Did I get it?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Tell me more.
So, where do they get put away in a hurry so I can figure out what to do with them next, just to count it off as a failure or start over again? I put them in the garage.
Yeah. So it was something quick. We didn't have a lot of time, and these carry a big emotional issue for you, as they do for me.
Yeah.
And so you put them in the garage because that was space that was empty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of
Did I get
course.
it?
Yes, you
Tell
got it
me
right.
more.
But the fun part was that the only empty space in the garage was in your half.
That is true. That is true. I like empty spaces.
Yeah.
Yes. So the only empty space in the garage was on my half.
Exactly.
Did I get it?
You got it right.
Tell me more.
So, and then it compounded by one other dilemma. These chairs just barely fit through the door that goes through the garage.
So it's a tight fit getting the chair through the door into the garage.
And I managed not to break the mirror as I was getting it through that door. There's a mirror there that I could have very easily have broken.
So it was with great concern that you got them there to begin with.
Exactly.
Did I get it?
Right.
Tell me more.
And even if I'm going to throw them away, which I don't want to do, I want to somehow make these chairs so nice that you even like them.
So you're hoping, you don't really want to throw them away. It sounds like you have the challenge to get me to like them.
Yes.
Okay. Did I get it?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Quite a challenge. And I need help. Can't put them down on the ground floor because if they go on the ground floor, that's going to upset you because they have to be worked on. So they have to go upstairs.
So they really can't go on the ground floor because they need to be, it's kind of a work in process for you. And so the only alternative is upstairs, as you see it. Did I get it?
Yes.
Tell me more.
I could throw them away, but as you know, I don't want to do that.
You don't want to throw them away, okay?
And while you were gone in China, I put something in the garage, and I found that I'm no young chicken anymore.
You found what?
That I'm no young chicken anymore.
Oh, okay. So you were putting some things in the garage when I was in China, and it sounds like it took a lot of effort for you.
And I got hurt. I pulled a muscle.
You pulled a muscle.
And so I'm saying to myself, this is a perfect excuse.
Ah. So even you recognize it as an excuse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or you're thinking
But
that.
it's a good one, though.
But it's a good one. Okay.
I need help getting the chairs upstairs. I no way, no how can I carry these chairs up to the second floor.
Okay. So you're thinking that it's not something really that you can do alone.
Right.
That you need some help with it.
Exactly.
Did I get it? Tell me more.
Right. So I'm feeling conflicted. I want to make these chairs beautiful. I want to get them out of your way, so the next time we come here, we can say, well, we accomplished one thing together.
You would like to get them out of the way. You want to honor, I think, well...
I want to honor, yes, I do. I don't want to put you in tears. That's not... I'm thinking about taking care of my chair, not putting you in pain.
Okay, so you don't want me to feel pain, but you're not sure what to do.
Yeah. And
Did I get it?
Exactly.
Tell me more.
And from my childhood, if something didn't work, yeah, just too bad, you throw it away. And I really don't want to give up yet.
Okay, so this is more than, for me it's a boundary issue, and for you, as I understand it, it's a failure / success issue in a way.
Exactly. How do I make it work?
How do you make it work? Okay.
So,
did I get it?
Yeah. And
Tell me
so
more.
all I wanted to have your help in figuring out how to please you but still fix the chairs.
Okay. So you'd like it to be a win-win.
Yeah.
Where, okay. Oh, to be a win-win where my boundary is met, but we have a good idea about the chairs.
You got it.
Okay.
Okay, let me interrupt. Didn't they do a great job of dialoguing? One of the things, my guess is that you observed, I certainly observed as I listened to them, is what started as a couple chairs. And this is what will happen as you listen to each other. It will be more, there will be a lot more than the surface issue. Because there's your stuff that you bring in. This is what's your reactivity. It's all about is your own emotions, your own story, your own background, your own brokenness. And what happens is you touch that. You touch each other's wounds. And as you can listen to each other, as you can empathize and understand each other, you can get at those wounds. And all of a sudden you're at a whole different place. Just like the two of you shared tonight. They're at a whole different place after dialoguing it. You're much closer. You know where each other's coming from. And you can give each other a little bit more space.
I guess I need this. What's interesting is that I probably have learned more about myself in doing this than in any other way. Counseling, with friends, whatever. It's an enhancement to... Because as you go through this, things dawn on you that it's not just a surface issue, like Jan said. It's always something deeper, always.
I'd like to add that I didn't realize until I was deep into it with Patty, I hate to fail. I just want to succeed so badly. And it's also failing when I cause Patty pain. So it feels like a no-win. I hurt Patty, or I give up and say I failed.
Yet the possibility is, as the two of you dialogue, maybe there's another way. You begin to join each other. You begin to be connected with each other, and you begin to have hope that there's another alternative here.